hi guys. I didn't see you there. Are you here for the tour? Well, that's great, because I am definitely excited to lead you on a virtual tour of the Queen Creek Branch Library today. Now, you might have noticed we've been operating a bit differently lately. We don't get to see you guys nearly as much as we like to. But hopefully, in this tour, you'll be able to kind of get an idea of what we've been up to since we've closed. Well, you've actually come at the perfect time. I just happened to finish my book, and I gotta go turn it in. So why don't you just come and follow me, okay? Let's go. So this is our drive-through book drop. We also have 2 other spots you can drop off items. Further down this road, and inside the lobby area as well. For some of you, this area probably looks familiar as the place where you say goodbye to the items that you checked out. And though it's, gosh, it's bright. Hold on, I think I can fix this. One sec. That is so much better. As I was saying, though it's the end of our interaction with the books, dropping books in the slot is only the beginning of a long journey that our items go through, and it's one we're going to explore a little bit more. Here, let me show you. Oh gosh, that was quite the tumble. I'm so sorry. Well, you've made it. This is the check-in room. Or I guess this is the check-in room ceiling, more like. Here, let me see if I can change the angle. Okay, let's try this. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, one more time. 1, 2, 3, go. That's much better. And I think I hear Jan. Yep, there she is. And as you can see, she's picking up our book, she's checking the condition, and she's taking it over to that weird looking machine in the middle of the room. Well, that machine's our sorter, and her name is Frankette. Now you might be wondering why we named our book sorter Frankette, instead of something bookish like Harry Sorter or the Bookworm. Well, the story goes back to the ancient year of 2019, where there was a book sorter called Frank. Now Frank had grown extremely old, and he wanted to retire and sort books for fun instead of for work. We don't see Frank anymore, but every once in a while he'll send us a postcard and it warms our hearts. But in honor of Frank, our new sorter was named Frankette, as his successor in the good fight of checking things in. She does this by sorting things based on what type of material they are. There's picture books, juvenile fiction, teens, readers, and Spanish, DVDs and audiobooks, adult fiction, and finally, nonfiction. Now you might have noticed I skipped over one of the bins, but don't worry, we'll come back to it. First, let's go back and take an in-depth look at our book getting checked in. As you can see, when an item's placed on Frankette's conveyor belt, there's a small pause while she determines where to place the item. In this case, our book is going to the teen section. Ah! Oh, sorry. I just didn't want to do that again. I'll just describe it. So the book just gently rolls off the conveyor belt and safely deposits into the bin. Just like that, every single time. After it's deposited into the bin, it's picked up and placed on the cart in which it correlates to. So for Leia, it'll be on the teen cart in the sci-fi section. Throughout the day, more and more items get checked in, and soon the cart fills up and needs to be taken away from the check-in room. So it's taken to the library floor, where it gets shelved by one of the library pages. Here's Sally doing just that. This is something we obviously did back when we were open as well. But I will say we have had to get a little bit more creative with how we store some of the books, just because our shelves are so full. With no one around, There's also a higher chance of catching the library pages dancing while they shelve material. Sally is rumored to be the best dancer at the Queen Creek branch, but she only does it when she's alone. So we're gonna have to be extra sneaky. Oh, shh. Dang, I think she saw us. The shelving process is repeated throughout the day for all the items that belong to the Queen Creek branch. But for items that don't belong here or have been requested by customers, they go to that one bin that we skipped over earlier. So this bin is called the exceptions bin. Now, we're going to look at 3 different examples of things that might end up in this bin. But first things first, we're going to have to wrangle us a cart. You might be convinced that wrangling a cart might be as simple as reaching out and grabbing it, but it is not. They are much too fond of their freedom for that. Whenever you walk up to a cart and simply try to grab it, it'll just roll away. So we have to be a little bit more sneaky about it. And honestly, to show you guys, I want to bring in an expert. This is Michael. And as you can see, he's super excited to show you guys some moves. First up, the pivot. There's 2 parts to this. The first, walk down the hall like you don't even see the cart. And the second, turn really quickly and grab it. Here's Michael to show. Did you see that? Let's look at it a little bit slower. Straight forward and then BAM! The cart didn't even see it coming. The second move is actually named after Michael because he invented it. 2 points again, set the cart at ease, and be really quick at the grab. That may sound similar to the pivot, but just watch Michael at work here. He's nonchalant, and the cart doesn't know what's happening until the last moment. There it was. Let's zoom in on the action. Now normally, when the cart starts to roll away, that's the end of everything. But Michael is such a seasoned pro at this that even when the cart starts to go, he set himself up perfectly that he's still able to make the grab. It's absolutely stunning. This next move, the corner crouch, is my absolute favorite move. And I wanted to do a first-person approach to this. So you have to be super quick, and you have to do some stretches beforehand because there's a lot of moving. So there's the target. And we're gonna hide back around this corner here so they don't see us. And on the count of 3, we'll jump out. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we got it. That's the best move I've ever seen. Queen Creek, US. Sorry. So, we've wrangled our cart, and now we get a look at our 3 exceptions. The first one, or example A, is something that doesn't belong to Queen Creek Library. And the reason that we know this is if we look at the tag here at the bottom corner. LP stands for Litchfield Park. So we know that this belongs to Litchfield Park and needs to be checked in at their branch instead of our own. Example B is an audiobook that actually does belong to Queen Creek Library. You can see the QC right here. But it's being requested at Southeast Regional Branch, as we can see on the tag right there. The SE stands for Southeast Regional. So, this audiobook and this book are both being shipped to different libraries. This last item, or example C, is something that belongs to a different library, Northwest, but has been requested by somebody at our branch. So, this item will be taken and placed on our hold shelf. Both example A and example B are going to the shipping bins, so I'm going to leave them on the cart and I'll show you where they go. Example C, however, is going to stay around with us a little bit longer. So I'm going to set this aside for Kayla to show you where the holding shelf is. The bins are a little bit further away, so we're going to get a head start. Luckily for Kayla, the hold shelf is much closer to the check-in, so while we walk down the long hallway to the storage area, she just gets to pop right out and place the item on the hold shelf for pickup. And just in time for us to make it down the hallway. So this area is where we store all of our incoming and outgoing materials. The shipping bins correlate with the different branches. So for our two examples, the book is going to go into the LP bin, and the audiobook will go in the Southeast Regional bin. And as we can see, the Southeast Regional bin is getting a little bit full. So after we place our item, we'll take the whole bin off the shelf, close the flaps, grab a zip tie, zip up the lid so that nothing falls out, and set it aside for pickup. So even though this room looks nice and spacious now, throughout the day, these bins can fill up pretty quickly, making it a tad bit harder to move around back here. But that's okay, because every single day we have our courier who comes and takes it all and ships it to where it needs to go. In addition to shipping all of our bins, courier also drops off a ton of new bins that we then get to unpack for the Queen Creek Library. This task is usually accomplished by our library pages. Here's Michael and Andrew, who are both separating the items based on whether or not they need to be checked in or placed on the hold shelf. Either way, all of the courier items will be taken down the hallway to their appropriate areas. Items that belong to Queen Creek will be taken to the check-in room, where they'll be checked for damage and sorted through Frankette. Items with holds will be processed and then taken and shelved on our hold shelf, where the customers can come and pick them up through our different services. One of the most popular ways for people to pick up their items has been through our curbside service. The way that works is that you pull up to the representative standing next to the sign and you read out your number to them. They relay the number inside, we verify that we have the correct account, and then you pull forward and we bring out your holds. It's a pretty simple process, but there's so much more that goes on in the inside, and I want to show you. Here's what it looks like from the inside. Okay, so it's a little sped up, but this is what it feels like sometimes during curbside. Our pace isn't anything to sneeze at though. Currently, the Queen Creek all-time record for curbside is 138 cars and 603 items. It may not sound like much, but that means that each car takes just about a minute for us to bring up their accounts, pull the items, and bring them out to the car. And of course, an honorable mention has to go out to this lady right here, who holds the record of processing 70 individual items for one car. I was there when she set the record. We had wrangled a cart to help with the task, but suddenly we lost control. We watched in horror as Jennifer disappeared underneath an avalanche of books. We feared the worst. But they were mainly picture books, so she came out of it pretty much unscathed. She picked herself up and she got down to work. She scanned those items like nobody's ever scanned items before, and eventually that pile of 70 shrank down to 0. That's a day I'll never forget, and for that very reason, I consider Jennifer to be Queen Creek Branch's very own Wonder Woman. Moving back to curbside, let's talk a little bit more about the different positions. In total, there are 6 people that work curbside at all times. 1 curb, 1 picker, 2 desks, and 2 runners. We've already gone over how curb operates during curbside hours, so we're going to check that off right now and do a deeper dive on the other positions. Here's Jen operating as the picker. Her job is to pull items off the shelf once the name is read off to everybody. She then takes the items and brings them up to the desk so that they can be processed and checked out. The desk has 2 main functions. They pull up the account once the curb attendant has read off the number, and after the picker brings up the items, they then check out the material to the account. They place them in the bag and then set it aside for the runner to take. All that's left is to take the items out to the car. To be more efficient, runners will usually take 2 bags at a time. Runners always go through the side door to reach the cars for curbside. Once there, they'll verify the customer's name and set the items in the trunk of the car or, if requested, on the curb for the customer to pick up. Then the whole process gets repeated for the next customer. Okay, that might have felt like a lot of information. But we're not done yet. There's so much more to share, so before you leave, we're going to do what I like to call a lightning round. Hello from the Storytime room. Hello from the Storytime room storage room. Hello from the corner of the Storytime room storage room where we have a gazillion hula hoops. Did you know we had a mascot? He doesn't have a name, I know, really strange, but he likes to sit in our break room and watch curbside. So if you see him, make sure you give him a wave. He loves people. Next time you're able to visit Queen Creek Library, make sure you look up and you'll see that we have hot air balloons, snowflakes, butterflies, and kites. There's a rumor that Queen Creek Library has a ghost. If you come over to the adult nonfiction section where the biographies are, you might see something. Now, frankly, I've never heard of anything going on here. Right, so I'm out. And finally, just like Frankette, all of our cards have names too. Let me introduce you to a few of them. There's Henry, Earl, the twins, Anne and Alan, fraternal of course, Ethel, Jojo, Archie, and of course there's Harold, who you all remember from when we were wrangling carts. Say hi, Harold! Yeah, he's still a little mad, but he'll probably come around eventually. I certainly hope you enjoyed this tour, and I hope that you learned something about the Queen Creek Library as well. If you have any questions regarding Queen Creek's or any other branches of services, please visit our website at mcldaz.org. Services differ depending on the branch, so for the most accurate information, make sure you select your branch underneath the location button. From everyone here at Queen Creek, thank you for joining me on this tour, and I hope you have a wonderful week.